Pizza delivery drivers of Reddit, what was the most fucked up place you've ever stopped at? I was delivering chicken, KFC, not pizza, but my worst stop was pathetic. Really? I knock on the door. I hear a kid yell I got it. He opens the door and runs up the stairs yelling to his friends, the chicken asshole's here. The chicken asshole's here. After which a crowd of about 8 preteens at the top of the stairs start throwing change down the stairs at me to pay for the delivery. I asked if they could hand me the money. They laugh and just throw the quarters/dimes/etc harder. So I picked up the bag of food, winged it up the stairs at them. It hit the wall, and I split. Told the boss what happened, and if they call to complain I won't listen or apologize. I'll just quit if he brings it up. I found out later he did get a call and told them to get stuffed. Good boss. I had a delivery to a normal address, but 2 blocks away from it a guy on a bike flagged me down, asked if I was a delivery guy, and said it was for him. He gave me his phone number, and it was his order. We don't have those signs on the top of our car, and I was in a busy suburb, so I have no clue how he knew it was me. It was outside of town on a dirt road with tall trees. Every house was basically just plywood shacks. There was broken down cars and trash everywhere. The entire neighborhood just reeked of a B-rated horror film. I find the right house and walk up to the door, but it was just a blanket, so I had to yell pizza. They come to the door and grumbled. It was a haggard looking man wearing boxers and a dirty white tank. Something felt wrong as he handed me a bill that looked washed. I held the $100, with old Ben Franklin's face on it, up to the light, and could clearly see Abe Lincoln in the paper. They had ordered around $50 worth of pizza and wanted change. He tried convincing me that he went to the bank and they gave him that bill. I asked him why then wrong face was on there, and he said that's how they do it. I said hell no and drove away as fast as I could. We stopped taking orders that don't have street roads. Someone ordered pizzas to a funeral. There were a ton of people there, all somber and dressed in black, while I rolled up in my bright red greasy t-shirt lol. Definitely one of the most awkward experiences I've had. Every hoarder house I ever delivered to, honestly, I feel for those folks. There's usually a mental issue that starts it. Sometimes it's just learned behavior. Either way it's still just sad to me. I didn't end up delivering the pizza, but the address was an abandoned house. It was around dusk and the house was so obviously uninhabited. I could see trees growing through the windows and the backside of the house was crumbling so badly I could see to the backyard from the street. The instructions were to come around back. I double checked the address. After locking my doors, called the customer a couple of times, called the store and told them what was up and why I wasn't delivering the pizza and headed out. I mean seriously, who would have been dumb enough to go to the back of that house? The one where they tried to pull me in the house. Not coincidentally the last delivery I ever made. Used to deliver part-time in a not so nice part of town. Used to do a regular delivery to an adult bookstore. My 18-year-old mind was blown the first time I went in and saw all the sex toys and shit hanging on the walls. Another time I delivered to a room at a hot sheet motel. Dude opened the door, and while he was counting out the money I saw a naked hooker sit up in the bed behind him. I once delivered to a guy living under his porch, if that counts. I drove up to the house. It's pitch black. No lights on. I look at the ticket, and it says use back door. I go up the steps, and no lights on. Nothing. Then I hear a voice from below me say, hey, down here. I look under the porch and there's a small door leading into what looked like a makeshift apartment. I had to actually crouch to get to it. Gave the guy the pizza and bounced the fuck out of there. I delivered to a drug house a few times. It was always obvious that these guys were selling/using, but it never bothered me as they usually tip well. This one time I got there, rang the bell and a bag if, I'm guessing coke or heroin. I have no idea, slipped under the door. Not sure what to do, I decided to kick it back under the door and leave. Not super fucked up, but I think about it a lot. Same thing nearly. Known drug house. I knock on the door and the hear ruckus on the other side. A voice can be heard saying, "Chill, it's just the pizza guy." Door opens and dudes are cutting up the powdered stuff and putting in baggers for distribution in. They don't care that I can see with drugs and guns in full view. They tipped a quarter and said I forgot their soda, so I had to go back and get it. They never ordered a soda. They pulled that every time to get free stuff and coupons from the manager. Yeah, that house got raided eventually. I worked at Domino's and we had to blacklist a guy because he was obsessed with me. He would come in and ask if I was there. If I wasn't working that day, he would just show up the next. If I was on a delivery, he'd wait around in the store for me. He would tell me that he loved me and ask me out on dates. He was very bad on heroin and made it obvious. The last time I delivered to his house, he ordered about $40 worth of food and drinks and kept trying to hand me $100, even though I told him numerous times I didn't have the change. He apparently stole his grandma's cell phone and wouldn't give it back until and his cousin were screaming at each other the whole time I'm waiting to get the smaller bills he kept telling me he had. He had nothing smaller than a $100 and he kept arguing with me because he changed his mind and just wanted one pizza and a drink, and I told him I couldn't do that. So while I was an undergrad, I worked as a pizza delivery driver. I had a delivery to a dodgy part of town with a delicious pie. When I got within a couple miles of the residence, a local sheriff's deputy got in front of me. We made all the same turns. Then as we got closer, another got in front of him, and one behind me. I start freaking out a bit as I'd been smoking some weed, but carry on. Finally, we all get to the same residence, which is totally surrounded by police in riot gear, guns drawn, all that shit. I get out with my pizza and discover the house I'm supposed to deliver to is the one with SWAT out in front. One of the officers waves me off and says he's not gonna need that today, and they proceed to breach the door, to which I return to the car with a free pizza and get the hell out of there. They were added to our do not deliver list, but I don't think we ever heard from them again. GPS led me to my city's hospital. After getting directions from a lot of employees, I finally found the room. I'll admit now, I really should have paid more attention to the signs, but was in rush and didn't bother. Luckily there was a nurse already in this lady's room. I was just going to walk in and drop food off when the nurse starts shaking her hands and rushes to me. No, you can't come in here. This is isolation. Oh, I'm sorry, she ordered a delivery. She went back in the room and asked the lady if she ordered delivery, and I heard the lady say yes. I overheard the nurse tell her you should have told me. Nurse comes back to me to grab food and told me if I had walked in the room I was not be let back out or something along those lines. Threw me for a loop, haha. I will pay more attention now, I promise. I have two. We had a regular that was saved in the computer as Mike from around the corner. Whenever I delivered he was super fucked up. On more than one occasion I had to let myself in because he was playing his drum set with his headphones on or completely fucked up on booze or drugs. One time he was passed out and drooling on the coffee table. Called the cops, but he was okay. I saw him a year later at his day job and he didn't even know who I was. Was never sober when we delivered. The other one was an artsy house in Huntington Beach. Big 4-bedroom and the place was always crawling with white supremacists. Always answered the door without shirts and displaying tattoos. Always a style. They wouldn't tip unless you were white. A church $834 order I delivered solo in the rain. Humped all those pizzas for a good 30 minutes back and forth from my truck to the altar. Got soaking wet all for no tip. I worked as a delivery driver for a very small Italian restaurant slash pizzeria during my first semester of college. This one time I delivered pizza to a swingers party. It wasn't like on the set of a porno or anything, he straight up told me when I was like having a party because he ordered 12 pizzas. He answered that this was his first swingers party and he just wanted to be sure everyone was having a good time. I drove to the customer's house and saw that a guy was being handcuffed by the police in the front yard. I had no idea what to do, so I drove around a neighboring block a few times. When I came back, the police and handcuffed guy were gone. I didn't know if he was the customer or not, So I just walked up to the door and knocked. An old couple answered and took the pizza and paid and didn't say anything about the arrest that happened on their lawn. It was in a city with extremely low crime rate as well. So it was very strange to 17-year-old me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Come back tomorrow for more videos. Subscribe to become cheese.